Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Got two crazy 10 times events coming up this weekend. This is my second time recording this video. If you're a bit confused, basically, when this news announcement was posted in Content Creator Chat, I was recording Hydra. I'm doing a takeover for Skull Vargal, checking him out. So stay tuned for a showcase on Skull Vargal coming soon. But I turned off all the sound on this while I was recording some Hydra runs, and I was watching some VODs of GDQ, which I haven't got to watch live yet, SGDQ. And yeah, I forgot to turn the mic back on. But thank you guys for letting me know. So that video is down, and we're going again. Right, let's dive right in. Boom. Friday. We've got two 10 times events coming. First one, Friday, July 1st. It's obviously the upcoming Friday. And we're going to have these champions boosted. Krisk, Lady Kimmy, Glacea Soul Guide, Godzika Neri, Rector Drath, and Doom Priest. Needless to say, this is absolutely nuts. So Doom Priest and Rector Drath first. Let's cover the epics from Ancient and Sacreds. I'm going to give them both S tier rankings. Both are S tier in my opinion. I like to rank these champions so you have a good idea for what you're going to do. And I give my overall recommendations at the end then when we've seen both events. So Doom Priest, her big thing really is her passive, which is much better than it sounds. Healing allies by 7.5% their HP and removing a random debuff at the start of this champion's turn. Big things that this lets you do. Number one, it lets you build affinity-friendly Demon Lord teams. So for example, with Helikath, the fusion we just had, check out my videos on Helikath. I have videos of Doom Priest running in a team with him. I'm pretty sure I do anyway. And yeah, obviously Deadwood has videos on this as well. But Helikath gives you block damage and the shield. He can make you unkillable just by himself. But what does interfere are the stuns. The stuns. If you're up against Green Affinity Clan Boss, the decreased speed, all that stuff is really bad. Doom Priest lets you be affinity friendly. No matter what the clan boss throws at you, you can tune her in with the correct speeds in your team to always cleanse off any debuff he throws at you and to never have it be an issue, which is insanely strong. Then just in general, for all the Doom Tower bosses, this is basically a super ability. For Hydra, this is super. Removing True Fears, for example, removing the heal reductions. So good, nice bit of healing. Her active abilities aren't that good. Look, honestly though, increased attack on your team is actually quite nifty, quite useful in Hydra to get increased attack into your team if you need to, and for those unkillable teams like up your Fane's damage and whatnot. So she's good for that sort of stuff. But yeah, Doom Priest, she's really strong. Rector Drath then, also extremely strong as well in my opinion. Single target revive with 3 turn perfect veil. Nice AoE heal that can put 2 turn perfect veil on everyone, or continuous heal. Perfect veil is much, much better. Yeah, then we've got her passive is super good too. 10% max HP heal whenever someone under Veil Perfect Veil takes a turn, and gives them 50 more resistance. She's phenomenal for Hydra. I also forgot to mention, decrease attack A1, really useful against Head of Wrath. So, for most people, fighting the Hydra, both of these epics are extremely good. If you do not have Inquisitor Shamael, and you need 3 of them, really. 3 Inquisitor Shamaels? Who has 3? I only have 2, you know? So for your third team, how do you deal with Head of Torment? Kind of a pain in the butt. There's a number of ways around it. One of the easiest is bringing in a cleanser like Doom Priest, or a Perfect Veil champion like Rector Drath. There's very few that do this, so she is just phenomenal. I tend to use her. She's a phenomenal healer. And she's also really strong in arena as well. She can be a very good arena healer. So there you go. I think they are both super, super good. Next up then, Godzika Neri, the Void Epic. Also, I'll put it in a second. I also think she's S tier. I use her a lot in my Hydra teams. She's very good for Demon Lord as well. Decent elsewhere in the game, but she really shines in the 2 clan bosses. She has more healing for your team on her passive, and she actually does a revive on death, like a preemptive revive, basically, when someone dies. This doesn't trigger off of debuffs, so if they die from poison, things like that, doesn't work. But it will trigger from direct hits that kill them, which is quite useful. She has a single target revive with a skill reset on her A3, and this is very strong with things like Royal Guard and Hydra, who are reasonably squishy and can die, and the cooldown reset's very valuable on those, especially if they kill themselves off reflect damage. It's pretty cheeky and can work really well. And then she has an AoE attack, does a bit of a heal, extends your buffs and decreases enemy buffs, bit of a heal on her A1. It's really this buff extension that makes her so good. Yeah, it just makes you far more consistent in things like Hydra and things like Demon Lord, extending counterattacks and shields and block debuffs, all that sort of stuff. Really good for Hydra as well. She doesn't do a crazy amount of healing, she doesn't do a crazy amount of damage, but she does a solid amount of both. She does an average amount of both. It's quite useful, and it's the buff extension, the revive is very strong. So like I run her with Krisk as my only source of healing, And she does the job because Krisk is preventing so much damage, and the buff extension she brings makes everything consistent. I did a video on that yesterday. Check it out if you want to see more. But she's super good for Demon Lord. I'd give her an S for sure. Excuse me. Oh my god, coughing. I'm already late making this video, so we're not editing it out. We're just going. Glycea, I'm gonna give her a B. I think Glycea is pretty underwhelming, to be honest. She's in the same faction. Yeah, she is. Pretty underwhelming. She has block debuffs on the team with an AoE freeze. Decent chance to AoE freeze. Not 100%, but decent. Gives her some turn meter. AoE weaken that can steal buffs from enemies under freeze. A1 can freeze, can do debuff spreads against enemies under freeze. And then she's got a cool passive where her skills can't go on cooldown. And whenever an enemy tries to put her skills on cooldown, she will freeze that enemy and have a 50% chance to deny the cooldown increase effect. So, look, she might be somewhat useful in some Doom Tower waves. She might be okay for some AoE freezing. Not bad, really, at all. It's Arena where she's really designed for, to counter Warlord and Yumiko. We have a 50-50 chance for each ally to stop them doing the cooldown increase effect. She'll obviously be immune, and she can come in and do block debuffs as well. Good chance to freeze those champions. So I think she's only okay, to be honest. It's a 50-50. It's not super reliable as a way to counter them. So I don't know. I just don't know if she's really that useful. But she's not terrible. Like, she's a decent champ. She's a B-tier champ, in my opinion. I wouldn't be rushing out to pull for her. She looks amazing, by the way. The Greek goddess. Looks super, super cool. You can't even see her wings, but her wings are massive. She's one of the best looking champs in the game. I just don't think she's that strong. And then we've got two S tier champions again. Really no shock. Yes, put them in yellow. S and S for Kimmy and Krisk, no doubt. Krisk first from the Voids. I pull Krisk on my account. Krisk is by far the best champion for Nightmare Hydra. He's the easiest way to get into Nightmare Hydra. There's so many comps that work because Krisk is there. Ally protection on your entire team, halving their damage taken, continuous heals on him so he tanks mischief, and increases all your buffs to make your team consistent, AoE decrease speed, provoke for Head of Decay, increase defense for himself and speed for your team, decrease defense, decrease attack on all the enemies that are hitting him. So useful. It's so much stuff. He does so much for Hydra in one champion. The thing about Krisk, though, I think he's not as good elsewhere in the game. I don't know, or like elsewhere in the game's not hard enough for him to matter. Like, he's obviously part of the world record Demon Lord teams, I think, still. He's insane for Demon Lord Clan Boss, so if you get him early, he's really going to help you with that. Obviously, if you've beaten Demon Lord, you're really just doing it for fun, so I don't think that, I mean, it's fun, but not essential. He's really good for Doom Tower waves as well, very strong for that, so he's very helpful for getting through those waves with the provokes and everything. That's actually quite strong. And he's decent in Arena, but not S tier in Arena. But he's a good A tier champion. He's very good in Arena, but not the best of the best. Certainly, I would be building him for Hydra specifically. You can check out my builds on Krisk from my Hydra videos. I use him actually in my Doom Tower hard team now. He's very good for that too, with that exact build. And he's good in Arena with that exact build, though he's not going to stand up to some of the top champions. So, for example, Lady Kimmy's going to rip him apart. Lady Kimmy, really strong, really good. Insane base stats. One of the best. I think it is tied for the best base speed in the game. I think so. Lady Kimmy, she's nuts. 115 base speed, crazy fast, and she brings you increased speed, increased accuracy, and turn meter boost. Amazing, amazing, right? To enable champions like Romantu, Gaius, Warlord, all these champions to get in and land their stuff on these super high resistance champions, especially like Mithrala, Lifebane. Very common on defense now. Yeah, just super good. She can also remove a buff, place block buffs. She can put decreased accuracy, decreased speed AoE, and decreased turn meter. She's got some more turn meter stuff in her passive, turn meter stuff in her A1. Best speed aura for Doom Tower in the game. So she's super for Doom Tower hard progress. She's super in Arena. One of the best champs in Arena for enabling those debuff teams like bomb teams and all the rest. Super good. And she's also insane for Hydra. Decreased speed, decreased accuracy, increased speed, increased accuracy, turn meter boosting. So strong for Hydra, really, really good. So she's S tier. She's amazing. Yeah, one of my most wanted champions. I want her so much. Right, next up then, let's go and let's take this. Next up we've got, boom. This is a fun one. We've got, blah, blah. Here we go. We're going to have 2 days then of this. So that's going to be Friday, Saturday, right? Active for 48 hours. Next up we have these. Whoop, over here. So Necrot the Great, Duchess Lilith, Lisandra, Seer, Ugo, and Stag Knight. Let's do the epics first. So I'm actually going to give both of these again an S. In fact, let me just straight up give all 3 epics S tier. Stag Knight, I think Stag Knight's probably the most replaceable one, but he's really good. There's just other champions that do the same thing, like Duck the Pierced. But he has AoE, decrease attack, decrease defense on a 3-turn cooldown. Super, 100% chance. Yeah, actually, you need to give him Sniper to make a 100% chance, but you give him Sniper anyway. It's totally fine. Decrease defense, decrease attack AoE, decrease speed on his A1. Extremely useful. And the big thing is Spirit Affinity is somewhat rare to have these sort of abilities, so that's very strong. Tomb Lord kind of replaces him, but Tomb Lord has a longer cooldown on this, so it can be sort of a trade between which one you prefer. But yeah, I mean, literally until you get Tomb Lord, this guy's pretty much will feature in a lot of your teams just because of his kit and his affinity. Very good for some Hydra rotations. It's either 3 or 4. I can't remember which specific rotation, but there's one where he's very good to decrease speed, so you disrupt Decay and Blight going together, and then he provides you the decreased defense, decreased attack. Really good base stats, great base speed, great champion. I think he is replaceable later in the game. I don't use mine that much, but he still should get S tier because he's so universally good. Now, a champion that is currently not replaced is Ugo. Blue Affinity, this is part of why she's not replaced, is depending on affinity for Hydra, she's used in Nightmare teams. Nightmare Hydra, the hardest Hydra teams, she is used. AoE attack with decreased defense and block buffs. Block buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. Block buffs is very rare. Not many champions do it, and she brings decreased defense as well. These are 2 kind of mandatory things for Hydra. She brings both. On top of that, really good AoE heal with some cleansing, leech on the A1 as well, and really solid base stats. She is super good. She's a must-build champion. Insanely good. One of my favorite epics. Just so insane. And then finally, a champion I don't use much, actually, anymore, is Seer, but she's insane. Obviously, Seer is, without any question, completely overpowered. Let's be real. Karma Burn, this move is just nuts. She is by far the easiest way, the easiest ticket to speed farming Doom Tower hard and speed farming stages 21 to 25 dungeons. And she's Void. She works in nearly all of these comps. She's extremely good combo with Duchess Lilith, extremely good combo with Lydia as well. Lydia especially. Yeah, just nuts. It's the easiest way by far to speed farm those. There are other options, like I tend to use Poison Explosion a good bit. But Seer is just more versatile, and it's so simple to make it work. It's so easy. So yeah, Seer is completely nuts. Completely OP. And then let's talk about the legendaries, and then let me give you my overall recommendations. So, legendaries. Lisandra gets an A. Duchess and Necrot get S. These are my opinions here. Lisandra, I think Lisandra's not as good as Lady Kimmy. I think Lady Kimmy's actually noticeably better. But she gives you 30% speed, 30% turn meter, and depletes enemy turn meter 30%. She has a full turn meter deplete in her A2, and then she can do debuff transfer here. Got a good speed aura. It's nice because it's universal, which is very strong. Her base speed's only 110 though. It's the same as Arbiter. It's not as good as Kimmy or Sifi. So yeah, I think she's an A-tier champion. I think she's solid. I think she's good in arena earlier in the game. She does fall off late game where you've got things like reaction and stone skin and whatnot, and she doesn't handle those well at all. Champions like Lady Kimmy in that sense become better with bomb teams and all the rest, or like Kymars instead, that sort of thing. But she's really good early game. Then even late game, I mean, just generally speaking, she's a really good speed booster, something I'm missing on my account. She's very, very good for Dark Fae, for speed farming Dark Fae. She's great for that. So yeah, she's a great champ. I'd say she's A tier, but she's not as good as the other speed boosters anymore. Like I think Kimmy and Sifi, for example, are a notable tier above her. Next up, Duchess. We're trying to get through this as quick as possible. Duchess is still S tier, one of the best champs in the entire game. She's insanely good in every part of content, pretty much. Block debuffs, increase attack, and perfect veil for your team on her A2. This is the perfect combo with Prince Kymar, Lydia, and Seer. Boom, there you go. You just beat pretty much every wave of content in the game. Throw in another Prince Kymar or a Renegade, and bam, yeah, look, there you go. You got a double reset team that one-shots everything with Seer. It's nuts. She's got a shield in her A1, AoE Revive with Veil and Continuous Heal, and a super good passive that's much better than it sounds, reducing all damage from AoEs by 25%, insane for Arena, 15% from bosses. This is still insanely strong in Hydra and elsewhere. Speed Aura is actually quite nice because in those teams I was discussing, her typical meta teams, you don't typically have auras that are that good. So for Hydra and for Doom Tower Hard, she often is providing that speed aura, which is very helpful. But she's just nuts. She's so strong. For Arena, she's insane. For Hydra, she's insane. Doom Tower Hard, just one of the best champions in the game. Funny enough, you know, I got a comment the other day saying, oh man, Nightmare Hydra, you either have Krisk or Duchess and it's easy. I actually think that Krisk is much better for Hydra than Duchess is. I think Krisk works with a lot of teams. I think Duchess is obviously insane, but Duchess is most insane in Hydra when you put her in with a Krisk. I think on her own or with other champions, it's harder to make her good. Like her perfect Veil coverage is only for 2 turns out of 4. It's really when you put her in with a Krisk who extends it that becomes really good. And then the damage mitigation with Krisk. The synergies are very strong. I will say that. But yeah, I think on her own, she's not as insane for Hydra as Krisk is, but she's better than Krisk everywhere else. Yeah, so there you go. And then finally, we've got Necrot the Great. Necrot the Great, defense-based champion, super good, one of the best for Arena because of this passive. Block debuffs, strengthen, ally protection, and the ally protection can't be removed on your lowest max HP champion, so he will protect your nuker. Guaranteed. It happens even if they outspeed you. No matter what, your nuker's protected, and he gives them a big shield equal to 30% of his max HP whenever they take damage. And he just reapplies the shield. You remove the shield, and he just puts it right back on whenever they get hit again. So just he makes all these nukers so survivable. You put him with a Rotos or a Candrafon, these already tanky nukers that are super dangerous, and they just become absolutely nightmares to deal with, just absolute nightmares. You can also apply those buffs on other people. He's got a little ally attack again, which is super strong with Candrafon, especially in Rotos 2. Decreased attack A1. I'm not sure if he's used too much elsewhere, but in Arena, you put him in like a protection set, you have him tanky and fast, and he's just a monster. He's an absolute monster, and so difficult to deal with. Complete top tier champions. There you go. So we put these two things together. Let me actually grab you the full list here. Boom. So here's the full list, and both of them are active, like I said, for 48 hours. Yeah, I mean, so which day do you pull for? Let's talk about that. Number one, bearing in mind, this is a 10 times event. Check out my video on 10 times events to really understand what your chances are. Your chances are pretty low, generally speaking. Like if you pull a legendary, so you successfully, boom, the yellow pops out, the gold pops out, it's a legendary coming in. I think it's something roughly like probably a 7% chance it's a Glacea and a 7% chance it's a Lady Kimmy. You know, your chances are still pretty low. Going for the epics, though, is really good, especially with Sacred Shards. You got a pretty decent chance to get some of these epics, so that's always worth considering. I think we look at Ancients and Sacreds, so that's over here. Let's do it in blue. So we've got these ones, and we've got these ones, and then we've got these ones, and we've got these ones. So I think the legendaries, I'd give them the win over this. It obviously depends on what you need, but I think Duchess and Lisandra are both really good. Whereas I don't think Glacea is that good. So I think overall, the champions in the second week are better. Yeah, I think Kimmy's better than Lisandra noticeably, but I think Duchess is better than all of them. So yeah, it's sort of a toss-up there. Then we've got, for the epics, Rector and Doom Priest are very good. Ugo and Stag Knight are also very good. I think they're pretty much equal. You can kind of go for either. It depends on what you need. It really depends on what you need. The supportive healing ones or the decreased defensy ones. But Rector and Ugo especially are still super relevant late game for Hydra. Doom Priest is even quite relevant. Stag Knight's probably the least relevant late game, but he's still really strong. So yeah, I think they're all S tier. They're all worth pulling for. In terms of the voids, so that's Godseeker and Krisk, and then Necrot and Seer. Okay, it depends whether you're close to your Mercy timer for legendaries or ancients. I think for the legendaries, I think Krisk is more worth getting because he opens up Hydra. Necrot opens up Arena, but Arena is not as important. Like, you can do everything in the game, getting into Gold 1 tag without Necrot. Getting into Nightmare Hydra is a lot harder. So I think Krisk is really good for that, and Godseeker is decent too. Seer, if you don't have her, obviously is worth going for if you're close to your epic Mercy timer. Basically, what I recommend, look, if you are guaranteed within like 5 to 10 shards to pull. Even I say, if you're about 5 shards off getting a guaranteed epic, I definitely go for one of these. I'd pull maybe 10 shards for Seer at least, and then when I got an epic, I'd probably give up if it wasn't her. It's maybe worth going for. Voids are decent enough for 10-time events. They're okay. And I would definitely go for Krisk 100% if I was like within 20 shards of a guarantee of definitely pulling a legendary off Mercy. I'd pull for Krisk for sure, or Necrot. I pull for either one, depending which one you need most. I give the edge to Krisk overall. But yeah, it's interesting, right? No Trunda showing up in these events, which is something I predicted. There is no Trunda though. But really good events overall. The epics especially are the things you're expecting to have a good chance to get. And we've got lots of really good epics that can be game changing. So that's really nice. And a good selection of legendaries. Let me know what you think. Are you going to pull on either day? I got to upload this quick. I'm already bloody half an hour behind the time. Right, let's go. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.